Japan isn't just another destination. It's a world where 1,000-year-old tradition collide with futuristic neon. But if you don't know the rules, Japan can overwhelm you fast. From $200 taxi rides at the airport to etiquette mistakes that can leave you red-faced at dinner. There are things every traveler must know before stepping off the plane. So I've traveled Japan for 2 weeks, and before I'll board my flight back home, I want to share 10 things I've learned during this trip.
I know you'll probably be tired after a long international flight to Tokyo, so am I, but definitely you should not take the easiest way to get into the city of Tokyo. Taxis here are extremely expensive, especially if you take them from the airports. If you are taking a taxi from Narita Airport into the center, you are looking at around $150 to $200 per ride. So that's a lot, and it is quite similar at Haneda Airport, the other one here in Tokyo. So I recommend you to take the trains. They are convenient, they are more fun to use, and they are also super fast and way cheaper. We paid for 2 tickets 5,160 yen, so that's pretty affordable. And it'll take us about 40 minutes to get into the city. Make sure to save the taxis for moments when you really don't have any other option. For example, if you have to go late at night when the metro system already shut down after midnight, or if you're in areas where public transport is just not that convenient. Talking about public transportation, you definitely want to download the Suica card. It is an IC card that allows you to take public transportation in the big cities of Japan. It makes it super easy and convenient, and you don't have to understand the ticket machines if you have this card already. You can top it up. It works with payment methods such as Apple Pay and is super easy to use. All you gotta do is to tap your phones here on the gates, and that's it. Then you can walk through. You'll tap them again once you get outside of the station, and the payment works automatically. So no thinking about how much do you need to pay to get from A to B, nothing. You don't have to understand the whole metro system. If you are traveling through Japan, it might also be worth it to get the Japan Rail Pass. It is a pass that allows you to even take the long distance trains. Even some bullet trains, the Shinkansens, are included in the Japan Rail Pass. However, if you stick to Tokyo only, it is not worth it because the Japan Rail Pass is very expensive. I, for example, didn't get it, even though I will travel through the country, but I will need to take, I think, 3 Shinkansens, and it was actually cheaper to buy them separately than to get the JR Pass. So always plan your trip ahead. Think about your itinerary and check the prices of the Shinkansen, because also not all of the Shinkansens are included in the JR Pass. And one more hack, download Google Maps, because you will rely on it if you want to use the metros. The metro system shuts down at around midnight, so you definitely need to check when the last train will take you back to your hotel, otherwise you'll get stranded. I also have a Google Maps prepared for you that includes all the places I'm visiting in Japan and all the restaurants, tips and tricks. It is a map with a lot of information that you can include in your Google Map app as well. So you can check out the link in the description below if that is interesting to you. And to make sure that Google Maps works properly and will also show you all the public transport options you have here in Japan, you will definitely need internet. The other day I walked into a mobile phone store and checked the internet prices here, and to be honest, I was a little bit surprised by what I found there. Let me quickly explain you the local SIM card options you have.
Most of the time you'll only find SIM cards of a certain amount of gigabytes in Japan, which is annoying because I have no idea how many gigabytes I'm using, and I really don't want to run out of data during a trip, which usually happens only in the worst moments. But I did find a few offers for unlimited data in either big electronic stores or at the airport. Prices ranged from 35 to 45 US dollars, but the worst part was that unlimited data doesn't really mean unlimited data. Read the fine print and you'll realize that sooner or later they will slow down your speed, making the so-called unlimited data kind of useless.
My honest recommendation is just get yourself an eSIM before you get to Japan, because it is not really more expensive. It will give you peace of mind at the moment you land. I personally can only recommend you the Holafly eSIMs. I'm very glad that I got mine before I got to Japan. In the case of Japan, it'll cost you
less than 4 euros per day.
Although it does get cheaper the more days you purchase. You will have unlimited data and therefore no such confusing plan as with the local SIM cards you can get here. There are no data caps, there are no hidden costs with the Holafly eSIM, so in my opinion it is the perfect option for peace of mind, and you will be able to fully enjoy your trip. And in the case you are traveling through more countries here in Asia than just Japan, you can even make use of Holafly's regional eSIM. It allows you to cross borders and still make use of your internet connection. And the best thing is you can even share up to 500 megabytes per day with a friend. And now it gets even better, because Holafly is now the first and so far the only international mobile operator that offers eSIM plans around the world. It is perfect for all world trip planners, for digital nomads, and for people that just travel a lot. You can buy one single eSIM and with that travel around the world, always making use of the best internet connection possible wherever home is at the moment. And if you are ready to settle down again, you can easily cancel this subscription plan whenever you need to. If you want to make use of their eSIMs, you can use my code Aventuralina or click the link in the description below to get a discount on your eSIM purchase. You're a tourist, and no matter what you'll do, Japanese will notice. But they don't care if you need longer time to find the right coins at the cashier or that you don't speak Japanese. What is important though is that you respect their culture. Japanese in general value respect a lot. And there are a lot of unwritten rules here in this country that Japanese simply know. However, we as tourists, we cannot know them. So whenever you move around the city, you will probably quickly notice that everything is very clean, very organized and structured, even though there are lots of people here. You will notice that people walk up the stairs on one side and walk them down on the other side, for example. That same thing happens in general on the streets. It is kind of crazy, but it is important that you watch the Japanese and just copy whatever they are doing to not create a chaos here.
In trains, adapt to the environment. Usually the trains are super quiet, no one talks, or if they do, they whisper.
Shh. There's one rule here in the metro system of Tokyo, and that is be respectful and never interrupt the silence. There are many unspoken rules here. This here behind me, for example, is a temple, and it is important to not sit down anywhere. I know in Europe and also in the US we are used to it to lean on walls or sit on walls whenever we want to, but here in Japan this is considered as rude. Temples are sacred places. Be aware of that and don't just sit down wherever you want to. Check for benches, for example. Just keep an eye on your surroundings. If Japanese do that, feel free to do it as well, but if not, just don't do it.
Oh, and one thing that I've learned through a comment on one of my videos is that you're also not supposed to walk up the stairs on a temple in the center. There are actually paths on the right and left side that you are supposed to take. Everything else is apparently extremely respectless. And I'm sorry that I did it, I just didn't know and there were no signs.
And the next good question is how to deal with garbage. I'm walking around with this cup since 2 hours now, I think, and there is no garbage can. Actually, we just found one, but it says crab wraps only because it is from a store that is just here next to it. And well, it's only for clients apparently, so I'm not going to throw my garbage away here. I will keep carrying it around. Tokyo is actually a very clean city. You won't find garbage on the streets usually, and that is because people, well, they are extremely respectful and they really throw their things away in garbage bins. The thing is, you won't even find garbage in garbage bins because there are no garbage bins, except for that one here, the first one I'm seeing in all morning basically. So remember to always bring a little bag. Like Japanese people, for example, they bring plastic bags with them and carry them around their backpacks all day long to leave their garbage in those little plastic bags. And then later on at home, they throw their garbage away. And that's what I'm going to do from tomorrow on. I created a video about how futuristic Japan is, and in many ways it really is. So what really surprised me is that you still need some cash. Actually, not in all shops you can pay with your credit card. In many places you can, but especially in smaller shops or family-run businesses, you will need some cash. So make sure to always carry some cash with you, and I would recommend you to go to a 7-Eleven to withdraw some cash. Apparently they have the best exchange rates here, and I just withdrew 10,000 yen, and the ATM transaction fee is 110 yen, so that's pretty good actually. To properly plan your trip to Japan, timing is everything. If you want to see the famous cherry blossoms or the beautiful autumn colors on the maple trees, then it is important to know when you'll be able to see them. However, keep in mind that these two times are also the most expensive times to travel Japan. They are quite popular and therefore prices go up. Besides that, we are still talking about nature. So just because there are regular times when you see the cherry blossoms or the autumn colors doesn't mean it's always like that. Usually you can see the cherry blossoms in between the end of March and the early beginnings of April. And the autumn colors will show in between mid-November until the beginning of December. Therefore, for the autumn colors, you will have a little bit more flexibility because there's a bit more time to see them. Also, it depends on the region that you are traveling to. I just mentioned the times for the typical regions like Tokyo, Kyoto. But if you travel up further north, for example, there these times change a little bit. So make sure to keep that in mind when planning your trip here to Japan. But again, there have been times where the cherry blossoms were earlier or later in the year and people planned their trip according to those usual times and then didn't get to see them at all, but still paid the high season prices, of course. And then there are also times where you definitely shouldn't travel Japan if you can avoid to. And that is, for example, the Golden Week, which is at the end of April or early in May. And that is a week where basically the whole country is traveling. The prices go up and places are usually super crowded. And then there is June, which is the rainy season here in Japan. And that means that typhoons can even cancel train. Usually trains are super punctual and very reliable, but in June this can actually happen. So also keep that in mind.
Trust me when I say there are a few things you really want to have in your suitcase. In Japan, you'll walk more than ever imagined. 10 miles a day is normal. Pack shoes that can handle it and are easy to take off if you want to visit lots of temples.
One of the things that you have to do at least once while you are in Japan is taking one of the Shinkansens. The Shinkansens are the bullet trains in Tokyo. They ride up to 320 kilometers per hour and they are the fast trains that take you through the whole country. The experience itself is meant to be amazing. The trains are calm and quiet and you can get panoramic views of the countryside of Japan. We are about to jump on a train from Tokyo to Kyoto now. It will take us 2 hours. These trains really aren't the cheapest way to travel. We've paid, I think, 95 euros. Yeah, 95 euros per person. It's definitely not cheap. However, it is meant to be worth it. The trains are meant to be super quiet and calm, and it should be a great experience. We will get panoramic views over the countryside of Japan, and if we are lucky, we will even see Mount Fuji.
The Shinkansen isn't just transport, it's part of the Japanese experience. These bullet trains race across the country at 200 miles an hour, shrinking a trip from Tokyo to Kyoto to just 2 hours. Book tickets online in advance and you'll save money.
We made it to Kyoto and we are hungry, so it is now time to tell you a little bit about how to behave and how to not behave in restaurants here in Japan.
Eating ramen in Japan is as much about the experience as the flavor. When you're steaming bowl of rice, start by tasting the broth first. It's the soul of the dish, carefully crafted by the chef. Use your chopsticks to lift the noodles and really don't be shy about slurping. In Japan, slurping isn't rude. It's a sign of appreciation and actually enhances the flavor by cooling the noodles as you eat.
And if you finish your dish at a restaurant, forget about tipping. It is not just unnecessary, it is actually considered as rude. Also, if you pay in cash, always place the cash on a tray and not directly in someone's hand. With these small gestures, you simply show some respect. And if you don't always want to eat out, there's also a great option in Japanese supermarkets. This here is only a small 7-Eleven. There are way bigger supermarkets that offer even more variety of these so-called bento boxes. The great thing about it is that, first of all, they are affordable. Second of all, you can take them to your hotel, for example, or if you have a long train ride ahead of you, you can also bring those to have a snack on the ride. And you can see what you'll get. They have various things. They have all kinds of Japanese food here in these bento boxes at a very good price. And the good thing is you can see what you get and choose according to whether it looks delicious to you or not. And I now have one last recommendation for you, and that is come to Okinawa, or more specifically to Ishigaki. At the end of your Japan trip, we spent our last 2 days here on Ishigaki Island, and it was the best decision we've ever made because after a busy trip through Japan, you will probably crave some relaxation and some peace and quiet time. And you will find it here on Ishigaki Island. It is a beautiful island that has absolutely stunning beaches, and surprisingly, it is not very touristic here. So it is the perfect place to relax, to recharge batteries, and to also see something completely different here in Japan with way less people. I'm sure you won't regret putting Ishigaki on your bucket list for your Japan trip, and if you want to learn more about it, check out this video here next to get an idea on what to do on Ishigaki Island.
Japan is a country that will surprise you in 1,000 small ways. It's a place where a train can arrive to the second, yet a simple bow carries more weight than words. Where neon lights blaze through the night, but silence fills a morning shrine. These 10 tips aren't just about saving money or avoiding mistakes. They're about learning how to move with respect and to truly connect with the rhythm of Japan. Because once you understand the rules, Japan opens up to you, not as a tourist, but as a welcomed guest. And that's when the real magic begins.